It's literally the fourth practice.
Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. Alright, so I'll get to the elephant in the room in a couple minutes. But first I want to actually talk about what happened today in camp before I give my whole soliloquy on that. First off, the first thing I see is Evan Neal hitting the turf, falling on the ground, trying to block O'Shane Ximines. O'Shane Ximines has been like the most annoying prospect or player coming through the Giants organization in a long time. You see him in practice, you see him in college, you see his hands in the preseason. He's got so many moves. He's got so many moves. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's got so many moves with his hands. He's got spin moves. He can dip. He can bend the edge, but it never shows up in the regular season. He ended up in Joe Judge's doghouse. I'm not sure if I just blame Joe Judge for O'Shane Ximines not being good, or if he's just a guy that can't show up in regular games. But he had Evan Neal trying to block him. Evan Neal was on the turf. He fell on the ground, which he did a lot of in college. He was on the ground way too much for what I would want him to be, but he ended up on the ground. I'm not really thinking too much of that because the first day of camp, O'Shane Ximines has had his struggles, but he's a vet, and as I said, he's technically sound. He's got some stuff that Evan Neal has never seen. So moving on past that, Thibodeaux and Andrew Thomas, man, it was like a battle of the Titans. People are expecting to see a battle of the Titans between Thibodeaux and Evan Neal, but Thibodeaux and Andrew Thomas was the real show. Thibodeaux was destroying Matt Gano, which he should, but against Andrew Thomas, he was hitting him with all these moves, bending the corner. Andrew Thomas was, recovering with a strong punch on the inside hand. It was just beautiful to watch Andrew Thomas play left tackle and the way he was blocking Thibodeaux. And they said Thibodeaux in the actual, team drills when they were actually, actually running an offense. Thibodeaux beat him around the edge, I think one or two times. So really nice to see that competition going on. They're only going to make each other better. Evan Neal looks like he probably needs to develop a little bit more before he becomes the Evan Neal that we know he can be. But Thibodeaux and Andrew Thomas, they look like they were really going at it. Other than that, they said Dexter Lawrence and Leo stood out. But then again, you got Shane Lemieux at center. You got Izudu in there, rookie guard. You got Glowinski. I don't think that Dex and Leo would even be lined up over Glowinski. But those guys were in there. Feliciano, I think he had some cramps or dehydrated, something like that, but he wasn't in there. So as far as camp goes, receivers, nothing crazy happened. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, had a nice big play. Saquon Barkley scampered off of right tackle. I think it was off right tackle from what I remember. Had a big play down the field. He also had a big play coming up the middle of the line of scrimmage. So they said he was hitting the holes. He was being decisive. He looks explosive. Just from that first actual practice, he had that one-handed catch in the back of the end zone. He's looking good. He's looking like he's in midseason form. Saquon, definitely, if anybody is here to make an impact, Saquon is definitely here to bounce back and try to reclaim that title as what I thought at his prime was the best running back in the league. I still believe that, and hopefully he can get back to that, or at least be top 3 or 4 running back in the game. On top of that, let's get into the elephant in the room. Let's get to it. Daniel Jones continues to not look good in training camp. Now, I was gonna go full troll mode. I was thinking about it. I was thinking about going full troll mode and just saying, we need to replace Daniel Jones, which I kind of do still kind of believe in, as far as if Daniel Jones is functioning at a level to where it's inhibiting Kenny Golladay, it's inhibiting Kadarius Toney, it's inhibiting Wan'Dale Robinson from being who they are. If we can't get them any touchdowns and yards because Daniel Jones is playing so bad, you got to get somebody in there. But you don't need to be trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. And here's why. People, you're overcomplicating the situation. Why trade for a guy who is a middle of the pack quarterback? Yes, he wins a bunch, but look at the team that he's on. Look at the team that he's on. The 49ers, with talent all over the field, with the defense that was swarming all over the place, where Nick Bosa was running rampant, where the defense was definitely playing out of their mind. You turn around and hand off to the running backs, and every time you hand off, they're going for 80 yards and a touchdown. Why wouldn't he be able to win a bunch of games? And Kyle Shanahan's offense, I don't get it. Why he's getting all this credit when he's clearly, he was definitely a part of it. He had multiple decent seasons as a starter, above average seasons as a starter with the 49ers, but when you get to the playoffs, he couldn't make anything happen. He had to turn around and hand that ball off and let his defense play, and this is just facts. He's got more interceptions than touchdowns in the NFL. So Jimmy Garoppolo is not this top tier quarterback that's just going to guarantee us, this guy's going to have us deep in the playoffs every year. That's just not a guarantee. So why not let Daniel Jones go out there? If he goes out there and he throws for 30, 40 touchdowns or whatever, you might be expecting him to do, so be it. He's your guy. You give him a franchise tag, you make him prove it again next year. If he starts to prove it again next year, guess what? You're in talks for a long-term deal. Boom. But if he's not your guy, if this guy goes out there and throws for 8 touchdowns or 10 or 11 touchdowns, and he's at 6, 7 touchdowns, and you're halfway through the year, guess what? First off, everybody wins because Tyrod Taylor is not going to make your team worse. Tyrod Taylor is only going to go out there and make your team as good as it is. He's going to be around 500 usually. He's going to go out there and do his thing. So if you're a guy that says we need to get a quarterback in there that's competent, that can run the offense, Tyrod Taylor comes in. He's going to get the ball to Galle. He's going to get it to everybody that needs to get the ball. He's going to hand it off to Saquon. No problem. But if you're like me and you're saying there's a ton of great quarterbacks coming out this year, if we have a top 10 pick, why would I be upset about that? Why would I be mad if we have a top 5 pick when we can literally replace the bad quarterback with the top 5 pick? I don't get what people are so upset about, why they feel the need that we need to trade resources for Jimmy G. Now, if they cut him, then you start to have a discussion because you're like, Tyrod Taylor is gonna run the offense. He's not gonna make it worse. He's not really gonna make it that much better. Jimmy G in the regular season at least has the chance to make your offense a little bit better. Maybe you want to run it back with him. But to give up resources and to pay him a bunch of money and have to extend him, which is probably what you'll have to do if you trade for him, it's just more than I'm willing to do. Now, if you want to bring him in for a flyer, you want to trade Daniel Jones away to somebody who thinks that they can, finally fix him, or you want to, do whatever you want to do to get Jimmy G under that cap space, under the cap, then that's the decision that you make. You roll out there with Jimmy G for a year. You got a great backup quarterback. And at that point, the team you're looking at probably is a borderline playoff team. And if they're a borderline playoff team, I mean, why not sign a guy as a free agent? But other than that, just let Daniel Jones go out there and do his thing. If the dude is not the guy, we're going to find out. I'm pretty sure that he's not the guy. But if he's really not that guy, we're going to find out. We're going to find out, and we'll have our pick of the litter next year. If the dude is as bad as a lot of Giants fans say he is, I just think he's just not that guy. I don't think he's as horrible as he's shown the past 2 years. But if he's as bad and he's going to turn over the ball like he did as a rookie, and the ball's flying all over the place, and he's throwing interceptions, and he's losing us games, that's I like that. In this context, I like that because that means that instead of picking 3rd overall or 4th overall because the guy wanted to hold on to the ball or the guy wanted to throw some meaningless touchdown to win a meaningless game, that means that if we're going to lose, we're going to lose. And Daniel Jones is going to be out there losing his games because how in the world do you think we got Andrew Thomas? It wasn't because Daniel Jones didn't lose us those games. If Daniel Jones didn't toss the ball on the ground, about 3 or 4 times that year, you can probably add 3 or 4 wins to our team. You literally could. I mean, they were what, a 3-4 win team? You literally could have added 3 or 4 wins to that team if Daniel Jones didn't fumble those games away. So if he doesn't fumble those games away, we don't have our franchise left tackle. And I don't care about making a half-ditched effort for the playoffs when your team is not lined up to do anything in the playoffs. Like all the people that wanted to make the playoffs and of course as a fan, while we were in the heat of it, I wanted to make the playoffs. Why wouldn't I want to see my team play for another week? Of course. But in retrospective, why would you have wanted this New York Giants team to make the playoffs at 6-10 or 7-9? If Evan Ingram catches that pass, we would have made the playoffs at 7-9 and lost about 10 spots and draft status. That doesn't make any sense to me. We don't have Kadarius Toney. We don't have Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeaux because we would have had to choose one, and we might have even gone a completely different direction. You never know what will happen. So let the season play out. And let's first and foremost, guys, it is literally the 4th practice of training camp. It's literally the 4th practice. You cannot decide that the guy's season is going to be horrible after 4 practices, when in reality, people have kind of, talked about what Daniel Jones has done as far as the stats. They'll throw out like he was 17 for 20. He was 18 for 21. Like, for most of these practices, he's actually had a pretty high completion percentage and he's been doing things. And that kind of Hail Mary interception, Brian Daboll literally told him, throw the football up. I want to see how the defensive backs will react to the ball in the air on the deep ball. So, guys, this story will tell itself. There's no reason for you to get all, upset about what's happening in training camp when we haven't even played a preseason game. We haven't played 2 preseason games. We haven't played 3 preseason games. We haven't played a regular season game. We haven't even gotten a quarter way through the season. Anytime someone's learning a new offense, you probably want to give them about somewhere between 2 to 4 games before you start to say that, yeah, this just isn't cutting it. I'm thinking if Daniel Jones goes out there and stinks it up for 2, 3, 4 weeks, Tyrod Taylor comes out there and we probably end up winning, more games than I would probably like, because I do want that quarterback. But you guys let me know what you're thinking of today's practice. There was some good things, as I tried to cover early on. And finally, I forgot to mention this, Dane Belton is out for at least the next 6 weeks. They're hoping he can get back for week 1 of the season. And he's gonna miss some time. He broke his collarbone. He's our 3rd safety. We don't have anybody else. We signed somebody in who I don't even remember his name, but who knows. So that's going to stink because Dane Belton is a rookie. He's learning a new defense, and he's going to miss a lot of time. He probably was going to be getting sent on a lot of blitzes, a lot of things, and he's going to get kind of tossed into the fire whenever he can finally play. But it is what it is. It happens every year. Pretty much every team, you have a rookie or a young player or somebody free agent that you just don't get to see play until like week 2, 3, 4 of the season. But again, you guys let me know what you're thinking of training camp, first padded practice in the books, and what are you thinking of Daniel Jones 4 practices in? Are you already ready to replace the guy after a couple of practices? Let me know. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.